Welcome to Moose Plays, everyone. I'm the Liquor Moose, and today we will be going over the Toronto Razor Leafs draft analysis for Season 4 of the PDL. It is back. The first draft league I ever joined with a bunch of my friends. We created it, and yeah, it's back for our fourth season, and we're hoping to obviously take home the championship because that's just the goal in any league, right? But yeah, in all honesty, I'm really excited for this. Again, like we were one of the I was one of the founding members, and I'm glad to see that it's kind of like kept going forward as seasons went by, and we finally there's some big changes this year to the league. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. But yeah, obviously you guys are here to see my draft analysis. So before we go into that, we need to talk about the league itself, because the league went through a whole lot of different changes. So first of all, I wanted to say that I got promoted to admin, and thank you, Matt, who's the commissioner of the league, for that. But basically, myself, Matt, and the other admins decided that we needed to get rid of the old style. We finally moved. Let's just start with the changes we made. We finally moved to a GBA style draft, where we will be drafting from tiered Pokemon of 1 through 5, with us having to get 2 Pokemon from tier 3, and then we also have to get a Mega, and then 4 free slots, which we have 400 points, to spend on basically customized tiers for those 4 free slots. I mean, if you've seen GBA videos, you know, or like any other kind of tier style draft, you know exactly how it goes. But yeah, the UCL style was just like it's so outdated now that we just decided it would be in the best interest of everyone to move to a GBA style draft, as it's a better representation of Pokemon in the format. As you know, Pokemon on the ladder perform a lot differently in draft format, so that's obvious. Z moves will be used the exact same as last year, where we will have 3 Z move users on the team, which we can pick from any tier that we have. One of the Z users will be your Z captain, which have access to every Z move in its move pool. The other 2 Z users being Z alternates, which can only use damaging Z moves in its move pool. But yeah, we're still a showdown league, but we're not really an OU. We'll be using anything goes with our own kind of rules. So Swagger's still banned, but we are allowing dry baton passing and arena trap, and stuff like that. We did go through a poll sessions where we voted on banned stuff, and basically the only thing that was of note that got banned this past off season was Mega Mawile, as that thing destroyed the league last year, and it was clear that that it needed to go. So Mega Mawile gone. Pretty much nothing else changed. Everything else stayed the same. As far as the schedule goes, we have finally we have finally got 16 coaches on the dot. So instead of having us play like each team once, we are going actually exactly like the GBA. We are doing divisions with 2 conferences of 8, and then 2 divisions of 4 in each of those conferences for 4 divisions. And then it's the same thing. You play the people in your division twice, and then you play everyone else in your conference once, and then you have 2 out of conference games. But yeah, for a total of 12 weeks. So those were like the big changes to the league. So let's start by going over my draft itself. So I was 14th. Yes, I was 14th out of 16 picks. So I was very close to the back wheel, which is very much my preferred drafting position. So contrary to what my GPC draft says about me, I am usually Mr. Fair Guy when it comes to games, like in general, especially Pokemon and Magic. I don't usually tend to like drafting the broken stuff. The only reason I decided to draft Landorus I in GPC was because I didn't think I was ever going to get the opportunity to draft it again. But otherwise, like, I almost never use the broken mons. I always want to use the fair things and try to overthrow the broken stuff. And also, I generally don't like to wait around for stuff, because I don't like thinking, hey, that can stick around for another round, because I just don't like risking snipes at all. So basically, I mean, you'll see how both of those things apply to my first round pick, which I will reveal right now, as I decided to take Infernape in the first round. So a lot of people might think this is a little underwhelming for a first round pick, but I completely disagree. As far as fair Pokemon go, quote unquote fair Pokemon, this is probably like the best fair Pokemon in the draft format, without a question. Like, my favorite Pokemon YouTuber, Lars, aka ElScizor, made this statement about Lucario. It said that Lucario is always your win condition, and I feel like Infernape is pretty much the same thing. Infernape, you can always find a time to set up with it, whether it be physically or specially. It has all the it has priority in Bullet Punch, Mach Punch, Vacuum Wave. It has coverage up the wazoo. You can just run it band or specs to just nuke stuff if you really don't need the immediate setup, or you can scarf it to outspeed everything. Like, Infernape is just the Pokemon that can pretty much do everything. It even gets reliable recovery and slack off, and it gets stealth rocks. So the only thing that Infernape is missing is hazard control. Otherwise, and then it could do everything, but otherwise, Infernape just does everything you want an offensive Pokemon to do, and I was like so happy to get this. Like, I really realized that I wanted this pretty much right when I had to prep for it last year. It really showed how much Infernape can actually do, and I cannot wait to use this thing. I think it is going to I think it's going to be a huge cornerstone to my team, and I love that I have Infernape. Now, going into round 2, I wanted Tangrowth, and I thought that round 2 would be early for Tangrowth, but like I said, I don't usually worry about taking stuff too early or whatever, but so like I thought round 2 Tangrowth would be early, but I would just get it because I wanted to use Tangrowth for a long time, but god damn it, Steven, he took it round 1 and he was the pick right before me, so unfortunately, no Tangrowth. So, past that, I wanted to get my fast electric type, and, okay, cat's out of the bag. The draft is obviously done, but we had a grace period immediately after the draft, and I believe it's still currently going on. I'm not sure if I'm going to make any other changes. I probably won't, but, yeah, basically, I drafted Thunderous Eye because I knew from the get-go that I wanted Infernape with Thunderous Eye, because I think those two really like synergized extremely well offensively and just formed a good offensive core that my opponents were going to have a very, very hard time dealing with. Ultimately, by the end of the draft, I'm not going to spoil any other of my picks yet, but we ended up dropping Thunderous Eye because there was just way too many weaknesses to like common typings, basically. And unfortunately, Thunderous Eye couldn't fit the bill, but we found something else that was also in Tier 1 that did not get drafted and fits a better speed tier, and I think will just fit overall better with my team, and that is Raikou. This Thundercat, like, it's a Pokemon that gets slept on, I think. It and Megaane Electric, I think, very, very much so gets slept on as electric types, as again, like, once Tapu Koko got introduced into the format, it just set a whole new bar on what electric types have to do. And then on top of that, like, I mean, the Genies were always really good because, especially with the introduction of Z-moves, the Genies became really good, so Thunderous Eye and Thunderous T kind of, like, overtook as, like, some of the best fast electric types as well. But I really, really think Raikou gets slept on. It's, like, really bulky for an offensive mon, and with a decent special attack stat of 115, but a really good speed stat of 115. I mean, you can like slap an Assault Vest on it to make it extremely specially bulky. You can set up with Calm Mind. You can just specs it to nuke everything, and possibly Z-move if I decide to go that route. But yeah, I think Raikou's a really good mon. Ultimately, doesn't have like the widest move pool. I mean, it gets like the Hidden Powers, Shadow Ball, Aura Sphere, and Extra Sensory, I believe, is like its best coverage moves. And I guess Signal Beam if you find the right matches to run Signal Beam. But hey, like I've said before, with fast electric types, you just needed to Volt Switch around and basically have a coverage move, like a good coverage move. And Raikou has multiple good coverage moves, just not as like insane. It's just not as like insanely. It doesn't have an insanely wide move pool like Thunderous Eye did, which is why I wanted Thunderous Eye in the first place. But I am perfectly happy with Raikou on this team. Now, moving to round 3, like I said, with my original draft plan of Infernape and Thunderous Eye, I wanted to take a good Thunderous Eye check off the board. And while we did end up dropping Thunderous, this thing is just basically a great answer to fast electric types. And yeah, I helped. My brother was in this league last season, and I helped my brother prep for a Thunderous T twice. And this Pokemon had to come every time, as most fast electric types just do not get coverage to deal with this thing, and that is Goodra. Look at that special defense stat of 150. Fast electric types are not doing anything to it. I think like Goodra is just such a good mon that can hit physically or specially, and it's so specially bulky. And the one thing I think a lot of people overlook about dragon types in general is actually its defensive typing. A lot of people see dragon and go like, oh yeah, it's a great offensive typing, which is true. But while dragon only has 4 resists in electric, fire, grass, and water, like Goodra is can very easily switch into all 4 of those types, and especially when fast electric types like usually get a coverage move of, it's normally fire is like the best way to or the best thing to ask for, like electric and fire. But yeah, Goodra is, while the fast electric types I will be facing will probably be able to get momentum off of me, actually not probably, they will be able to get momentum off of me, like this thing will still be able to take them on for days. It still does get Earthquake, plus all the powerful dragon stabs that it normally gets, like that you would ask for any other dragon. It gets some like niche moves as well. But yeah, I am really looking forward to using Goodra. I think it's going to be great, and yeah, again, not too much to say about this mon. Like, I mean, if you're watching this, you know what Goodra does. It's just fat. It sits there, and I love Goodra. So yeah, going into round 4, if you remember, I wanted Tangrowth, so I mean, you could probably relatively guess where I wanted to go with the Tangrowth. Round 5, I ended up getting Slowking in Tier 3. Obviously, it's a great bulky water. It's a unique bulky water. Well, it's unique with its brother, brother Slowbro, with 2 factors. 1, it's part Psychic type, so it can also switch into fighting types relatively easily. And 2, it does get Regenerator, which is the big thing with this. Regenerator plus reliable recovery and slack off is going to make Slowking an extreme pain for for other teams to deal with. And yeah, Slowking is just, I mean, it's a reliable mon. I've used it before. King Bob's coming back. But yeah, it's actually got a really good offensive move pool for like the defensive Pokemon that you would normally want it to run. I mean, it does get Belly Drum. I'm probably not going to run Belly Drum all that often. But yeah, as far as like, I mean, again, you all know what Slowking does. Like, it's just there to be fat and heal up, like, constantly just from switching out or by spamming Slack Off. So, moving into round 5, I don't really have a reliable rocker yet, and I also wanted a reliable spinner, because, again, at the time I did have Thunderous Eye on the team, which is weak to rocks, and I wanted a way to clear the hazards away. A lot of people are controversial about this Pokemon, excuse me, but I really like it. Plus, it does get me my Steel type to add to the team, and I decided in round 5 to get Fortress. Now again, controversial mon, and again, like I said, a lot of people are going to question round 5 Fortress, but I don't care. If I plan to get this, then I'm gonna take it when I have it planned to, like when I plan to take it. Like, strictly because it's just good at what it does. It can spin and it can set rocks, and that's what you need it to do. A lot of people will say it's setup fodder, but you can easily deal with that. All you have to do is Volt Switch out and then pressure whatever's setting up offensively, which should be really easy to do with a team that has both Infernape and Raikou. But yeah, I really like Fortress. Again, it's kind of funny, 2 mons right in a row with Fortress Slowking that were on my, as my friends put it, my disgusting Season 2 team. I mean, if you want to know what that looked like, I guess you can go watch the... you can go watch my Season 2 battles that are also on my channel. But yeah, I mean, what else is there to say about Fortress other than it's going to be setting up hazards from no tomorrow? It's going to spin away the hazards that I need it to. It gets a slow Volt Switch, which is fantastic. And then, on the off chance I need to explode, then I can explode. But yeah, I just love Fortress. It's going to be a decently reliable Fairy Switch-in. But yeah, speaking of those Fairy Switch-ins, I'm a little lacking on those other than the Fortress. And Fortress does not get reliable recovery. So yeah, I wanted to prioritize a good Fairy Switch-in while also getting another hazard remover, because I don't want to have to be forced to bring Fortress every single game. So yeah, we we looked at what was left, and Crobat was sitting there in tier 3, so we decided to take Crobat. Obviously, it's a pretty decent fairy switch in being resisted, and then it also gets Roost. With 85, 80, 80 bulk, it's decently bulky. Plus, it has like, I mean, everyone calls it the Crobat effect, but I actually have Crobat now. But yeah, it's like, it generally is fast enough that you can like not invest in speed too much, that it can still outspeed stuff, and then you can just end up investing it in bulk, and then it can take hits for days, especially with Roost and Black Sludge. And it gives me another U-turner, and I mean, everyone knows how much I like to play pivot heavy. I already have a bunch of pivots on this team, and I'm really loving that. But yeah, again, another reliable defogger, a good fairy switch in, gets reliable recovery, and everyone sleeps on the Nasty Bat set, but let me tell you, that set is legit, and it will sweep teams. I guarantee I'll bring Nasty Bat this season, at least once. I think everyone who like ever drafts Crobat should bring Nasty Bat at least once in this season. It's a legitimate set, at least in draft format, maybe not in ladder. But yeah, we got the Crobat. I'm really happy with it, and yeah. So moving into the next round, I wanted my fairy to complete the Fairy Dragon Steel Core, but as you can see on screen, I currently have used up a lot of my high tier picks. So I need to look into either tier 4 or tier 5 for a fairy. And there's one fairy that really catches my eye, and I've seen it put in work in a few other leagues on YouTube and stuff. And yeah, I decided to give it a try this time, and we're taking Comfy in tier 4. And yeah, I really like Comfy. Its Calm Mindset, along with Triage and Draining Kiss, make it a very potent set of sweeper. And yeah, I wanted more priority was another thing. Triage offers that with its healing moves. Fairy is a really good offensive typing. Not the most bulky physically. Its defense stat actually isn't bad at 90. It's just its HP stat is a little low, which makes it not physically bulky. It gives me, what this does do is give me an actual cleric, as this does get both aromatherapy and heal bell. And for whatever reason, this thing gets U-turn, so it's just another pivot that I can use and just wear down stuff. But yeah, it actually gets a lot of cool like niche moves as well, like Worry Seed to stop specific abilities if I go up against. I know a Zoom Roll got drafted, so if I have to go up against that, I can like Worry Seed that if that ever comes up. But yeah, I overall really liked what Comfy could offer as a fairy type. So yeah, I decided to try it out. It's a little experiment. I mean, it's a fun league anyways, so let's try to have some fun with this fairy type. So now going into the next round, obviously I don't have a grass type yet, and obviously I was putting my my eggs in the Tangrowth basket, and yeah, that didn't happen. But if you haven't guessed by now, I still have my tier 5 pick left, and yeah, everyone sleeps on Tangela, so I decided to take it, and I have a Regenerator Core now. Yeah, obviously Tangrowth would be better, but everyone sleeps on Tangela. This thing eats 1,000 arrows for days, and I know that I'm going to have to go up against a 1,000 arrows user as the previous winner, Mike. If you don't know, in the PDL, the winner of the league as a reward gets to keep one Pokemon from their roster previously and guarantee it on their roster for the next season. And our champion from last season, Mike, decided to keep his Zygarde 50%. And yeah, Tangela, physically defensive Tangela, like, Choice Band 1,000 Arrows does nothing to this thing. It is so bulky with Eviolite, and it's just a reliable grass type that isn't hindered by an Assault Vest. Usually when you run Tangrowth, you run Assault Vest, and when you do that, it always, like, you have to run offensive moves on it. But with Tangela, when you run Eviolite, you get the same boost in special defense, but you also get a defense boost, and you don't have to run only attacking moves. So I can run Leech Seed on this thing, I can run Synthesis would be the big one, I can run Sleep Powder if I want to. And this thing still does get knockoff, so it does offer a lot of utility still. I really like Tangela. I think a lot of people overlook it as a defensive Pokemon, and yeah, I can't wait to prove some people wrong. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking to get Mega Absol and in this next round, and unfortunately it got sniped. I was pretty salty because, like, I usually go into drafts with like a full plan, And I had been sold on the Infernape Thunderous Eye Mega Absol core for a really, really long time. And yeah, obviously we ended up dropping Thunderous Eye, but I mean, yeah, Mega Absol getting taken was a shot to the heart. I was very, very heartbroken when that happened. But yeah, we decided to go a different route, basically. So again, we're gonna go over some picks that actually I didn't end up drafting. These next two picks were something different. It doesn't matter. I won't talk about what I actually did draft because I dropped them and no one else picked them up. So what we are going to talk about is what I did pick up in their stead. And in the first slot, we ended up picking up Hariyama. Basically, at the end of the draft, I looked pretty Ice Weak and Rocks Weak, so I wanted to pick up something that could resist it. Could resist both and be a decent knockoff switch in, as well as offer me some power. I am not too worried about a dual fighting core. I think it's actually pretty good on my opponents, like checks to my fighting types. Yeah, I really wanted to try Hariyama, as with Thick Fat it gives me both a fire and an ice resistance, and again, I looked a bit Ice Weak by the end of the draft. And yeah, I just thought Hariyama looked like a solid option, and I've seen a lot of people use it, and it does give me more priority with Bullet Punch and Fake Out. Like it's just a good fat mon that I can have to just like kind of plop on the battlefield, take a hit, and then slam back an even bigger hit. Basically, I'm pretty sure this gets Drain Punch. No, actually, it doesn't. Well. That's unfortunate. Unless it got it in Move Tutors and I'm just missing it. But yeah, I really like how Hariyama looks, and I think it fits my team relatively well. I think a dual fighting core is good, especially when one of them is like frail and tries to sweep, and the other one can wall break. But yeah, I'm ultimately happy with Hariyama, and I'm glad I picked it up. Now, as far as the 10th Pokemon on my team, again, this wasn't something I drafted. This was something I picked up in the grace period. But yeah, in case you haven't noticed on this team, I actually don't have a ground type yet. I kind of ran into this problem in Season 3 as well, when I waited till the very end of the draft to get my ground type, and I ended up picking up a gem in the bottom tiers in Mudsdale. Unfortunately, Mudsdale got drafted before... unfortunately got drafted, so it was not available during the grace period. However, I also needed another rocker, because at this point, like, Fortress was my only reliable rocker. Like, Infernape does get rocks, but I don't really want to have to run rocks on Infernape all that often. So yeah, and I also didn't want to bring Fortress to to every single game, which is the same reason, like, justifying getting another hazard remover. So yeah, I wanted both, and then I also, on top of it, got a Ghost type out of this, and of course, there's only one Pokemon that fits both of those descriptions, and that is Golurk. We tiered it in Tier 4, I know a lot of these have it in Tier 5, but we decided to move it up a tier. And I'm perfectly fine with that. It fits the descriptions of what I need. It's a good physically offensive mon, with Iron Fist and 124 attack. Obviously, no guard can be a thing, and I mean, like, weakness berries are still fine. I thought at first I was going to be fine with only Goodra to pretty much deal with the fast electrics, but yeah, I ended up going with Golurk because, like, while yes, Goodra can take on the fast electrics for days, they can still gain momentum on it by volt switching out, and I just wanted to find a way to try to stop it a little bit, and Golurk is definitely the way to to deal with that. Well, at least from what I can afford, because to be honest, I was not looking for a ground type Mega, because after Absol got sniped, I pretty much knew what Mega I wanted after that, which I think we'll go over right now. There's not too much to say about Golurk, but yeah. After Absol got sniped, I had to look at my options, and yeah, after Absol, there was really only one Mega Pokemon that I was looking at, and I am really glad to put this together on the team that I already have. And ladies and gentlemen, we finally can reveal Mega Pinsir as part of the Toronto Rays release this season. This thing is an absolute beast that people just sleep on. It's the second draft in a row that I've been a part of where Mega Pinsir got taken in the last round, basically. Like in GPC it went in round 10, but that was the round 10 or 11, I don't remember. It wasn't the last round, but it was the last round for that player that picked it up. But yeah, Mega Pinsir, there's like very, very few switch-ins, and Pinsir's just gonna punch holes through teams that both Infernape and Raikou are going to happily just clean up with the broom. And yeah, I am so surprised and excited because I don't know how this thing didn't go until basically the second last pick of the draft, because yeah, Mike had the wheel and he had the Zygarde as his franchise pick. So yeah, this pick was this Pokemon was the second last Pokemon drafted, and yeah, I think I'm gonna make people regret it. Mega Pinsir is just gonna punch holes through teams, and yeah, I'm really happy with the way this worked out. So yeah, that's the full team, and now the only thing that we have left to talk about is the Z users. So like we said, just as a refresher, Z Captain gets all Z moves in its move pool. Z Alternates only get damaging Z moves. I looked at a lot of things, and ultimately, like, I had one obvious one in Infernape, obviously, and then past that, I had a few options, but ultimately I decided to make Infernape my Z Captain, and then Raikou and Hariyama my Z Alternates. Basically, the goal of this was Hariyama is a good knockoff switch-in and also provides me with a reliable physical Z user. Raikou is just a good special Z user, and then Infernape can be whatever, especially with having access to non-damaging Z moves. There won't be too often times where that'll be a thing. Like, I can really only think of one set that uses a non-damaging Z move with Infernape. But yeah, I think these were just ultimately the best choices as my Z users for the team. As I think, I don't know if, I guess Hariyama gets bulk up. So yeah, all three of my Z users have forms of setup, which is kind of what you want to look for Z users. Not always, but it's a decent choice. But yeah, so that's the team, and that's the draft recap. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to use this team. I really, really want to take home the championship this season. But yeah, week 1 will be an out-of-division match. It will be against Steven, and yeah, his team is very scary, and he's also the one who sniped the Tangrowth from me, so I'm coming for you, Steven. But yeah, keep your eye out on the channel for the first team builder for PDL, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.